Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome, everyone, to this intensive, hands-on masterclass explainer. Look, if you're gearing up for the IELTS, you already know the deal. Reading Passage 3 is notorious. It's that final, exhausting hurdle where the text gets intensely academic, the vocabulary is just incredibly dense, and honestly, the questions feel like they're practically designed to trick you. But hey, take a breath. Today, we are going to completely demystify all that complexity. By the time we wrap up this session, you aren't just going to survive Passage 3. You're going to know exactly how to attack it with absolute confidence. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit Passage 3 strategies, dive into an academic passage on neural networks, tackle true, false, not given tasks, move on to matching information, hit summary completion, and finally, your homework assignment. Right now, do me a huge favor and actually grab a pen and paper. Seriously, go get one. This is a hands-on, scored session, so you're going to be testing and scoring yourself as we go. All right, Section 1, Passage 3 Strategies, the 6 keys to conquering complexity. You see, surviving the hardest section of the IELTS requires a totally systematic attack plan. You literally cannot just read it like a Sunday newspaper and hope for the best. Let's lock in that attack plan right now. First up, strict time management. You have 20 minutes maximum. Period. Do not steal time from passages 1 and 2 to fund passage 3. Second is skimming for macro structure. Just read the first and last sentences of each paragraph to get a rough map of the text. Third, paragraph labeling. Mentally or physically label them A through F. Fourth, and honestly, pay super close attention here, paraphrasing awareness. This is the holy grail, the ultimate key to a Band 9. You are almost never going to find the exact words from the question in the text. You're hunting for synonymous ideas. Fifth is trap detection, which we'll get to in just a second. And sixth, sequential answer order rules. You absolutely must know which question types flow in chronological order and which ones just jump all over the place. Let's quickly break down the structural DNA of the most common question types you'll see. For true, false, not given, your absolute focus has to be on meaning, not just mindlessly matching keywords. For matching information, you're going to rely heavily on that A through F paragraph labeling we just talked about because, remember, these answers will be entirely out of order. And for summary completion, the grammatical fit of the word is literally just as crucial as its meaning. If a word doesn't make perfect grammatical sense in the blank space, it's the wrong answer, no matter how close the definition seems. Now, we've got to address the single most dangerous pitfall, the not given trap. Look, false means the text says the exact opposite of the statement. But not given, that means the text might hint at it, or it might even be a totally true fact in the real world, but the author does not explicitly state it in the passage. If you find yourself guessing or assuming, boom, it's not given. Do not let your brain fill in the blanks for the author. Okay, Section 2. Academic passage, neural networks, cognitive bias in artificial intelligence. Let's put this theory into practice. I'm stepping into strict academic coaching mode here. This is our simulated Band 9 academic passage. It's dense, it's abstract, and it is exactly the kind of beast you'll face on test day. Listen closely as I dictate the actual text for paragraphs A and B. Paragraph A. The persistent myth of algorithmic neutrality has permeated modern technological discourse for decades. Early computer scientists operated under the assumption that a machine, devoid of human emotion, would naturally produce entirely objective calculations. However, this illusion shatters when we examine the architecture of contemporary neural networks. Paragraph B. Rather than functioning as independent arbiters of truth, these networks fundamentally ingest historical human biases during their initial data training phases. When developers feed massive, uncurated datasets into a learning model, the algorithm indiscriminately absorbs the historical inequalities and flawed societal patterns embedded within that data. The machine does not erase human prejudice, it digitizes it. Okay, right now, I want you to pause this explainer, mentally digest those core ideas, and just hit play when you're ready to keep going. Got it? Let's move to paragraphs C and D. Paragraph C. The danger escalates when machine learning explicitly mirrors confirmation bias. Just as humans naturally seek out information that validates their pre-existing beliefs, predictive algorithms prioritize data points that align with their initial training parameters. This psychological flaw, mirrored by machines, creates an unavoidable echo chamber of logic. Paragraph D. Consequently, we see the compounding nature of these computational errors. By continuously feeding on biased historical inputs and reinforcing those patterns through repetitive learning cycles, the system begins amplifying minor human prejudices. What starts as a slight statistical skew in data collection inevitably evolves into systemic discrimination, affecting everything from automated resume screening to criminal justice risk assessments. Once again, take a quick moment, pause the explainer, absorb that structural development, and hit play. Awesome. Finally, let's look at paragraphs E and F. Paragraph E, addressing this digital inequity requires multi-layered solutions. Mitigation demands strict algorithmic auditing conducted by independent third-party organizations. Furthermore, the foundational step toward impartiality involves compiling highly diverse datasets that accurately represent a broad spectrum of human experiences, rather than relying on homogeneous historical records. Paragraph F, yet, despite the implementation of advanced technical safeguards, we must acknowledge the limitations of self-correcting software. Artificial intelligence is not autonomous in its ethical judgment. Therefore, the ongoing necessity of human review cannot be understated, and ultimate human oversight remains crucial in any high-stakes algorithmic deployment. Fantastic focus there. Now that you have the mental map and that high-level vocabulary firmly in your mind, let's jump straight into the testing phase. Section 3. Task. True, false, not given. Navigating the traps. A really stern reminder before we kick off, you must rely solely on the passage text we just read. I need you to strictly ignore any outside knowledge you might have about AI or computer science. Only use what's in the text. All right, here are your 4 statements. Number 1, AI is inherently objective. Number 2, data training removes bias. Number 3, AI mirrors human flaws. And number 4, auditing solves all issues. I challenge you to pause the explainer right now, hunt for the paraphrased evidence in your mental map of the text, lock in your answers on your paper, and then press play. Let's see how you do. Let's reveal the answers. Statement 1 is false. The statement claims AI is objective, but paragraph A explicitly calls algorithmic neutrality a myth. Statement 2, drumroll please, is our not given trap. The text mentions that data training ingests bias. It literally never explicitly states that it removes it. Statement 3 is true. Mirrors human flaws is an absolutely perfect paraphrase of paragraph C's phrase, mirrors confirmation bias. And statement 4 is false. Auditing is demanded, sure, but paragraph F says ultimate human oversight remains crucial, meaning auditing alone definitely doesn't solve everything. So tally up your score out of a maximum of 4 for this section. And look, whether you got a 1 or a perfect 4, the real goal here is just recognizing how the test makers paraphrase ideas and where they hide those traps. Section 4. Task. Matching information. Finding the core idea. Let's keep this momentum going. My biggest piece of advice here, deploy that paragraph labeling strategy immediately, because these answers are deliberately thrown out of order. You are matching abstract clues to the specific paragraph that holds that core idea. Here are your 4 clues. 1. A psychological flaw mirrored by machines. 2. The illusion of impartial algorithms. 3. The compounding nature of minor prejudices. 4. The ongoing necessity of human review. Go ahead, pause the explainer, quickly scan that passage structure we built, assign a letter A through F to each clue, and hit play when you're done. Okay, let's break this down. The crucial thing to notice is how abstractly the clues are written compared to the passage. Clue 1 matches paragraph C. Psychological flaw directly paraphrases confirmation bias. Clue 2 matches paragraph A. The illusion of impartial perfectly aligns with the myth of algorithmic neutrality. Clue 3 matches paragraph D, where it discusses amplifying minor human prejudices. And clue 4 matches paragraph F, which stated that ultimate human oversight remains crucial. Go ahead and update your scorebook out of 4 for this matching section. If you struggled with this one, it's a huge sign that you need to deeply focus on recognizing when an IELTS clue uses a broad umbrella term, like psychological flaw, to refer to a highly specific term in the actual text, like confirmation bias. Making those abstract connections is incredibly important. On to Section 5, Task, Summary Completion, Precision, and Vocabulary. All right, this task requires ultimate precision. Consider this a strict warning. You can only use exactly 1 word from the passage per gap. No changing the tense, no adding plurals, no modifying it whatsoever. Exact words only. Here's your summary framework. 1. Minor biases evolve into blank discrimination. 2. Mitigation requires algorithmic blank. 3. The system still needs human blank. Pause the explainer again, hunt for those exact vocabulary words from our academic text, write them down, and press play. And here are the exact words. Gap 1 is systemic. Minor prejudices evolve into systemic discrimination. Gap 2 is auditing. Mitigation demands strict algorithmic auditing. Gap 3 is oversight. It still needs ultimate human oversight. Notice how the grammar around the gap in the prompt strictly dictates the form of the word you pull from the text. For instance, if you accidentally wrote audited instead of auditing, that is an automatic lost point. Give yourself a final task score out of 3. Honestly, excellent work showing so much resilience through a really rigorous academic text today. If you combined all 3 of our tasks, you'd have a score out of 11. That is exactly the kind of high-pressure cognitive gymnastics Passage 3 is going to demand of you. Which brings us nicely to Section 6, your homework assignment. Put it into practice. Look, I treat this as the critical, non-negotiable final step for actually retaining the strategies we've learned today. You can't just passively watch and nod along. You have to put it into practice yourself. So here are your 6 brand new homework questions. Let me read them out for you so you know exactly what you're hunting for. Question 1 is a true, false, or not given statement. Data sets are completely neutral. Question 2 is also true, false, or not given. Bias is amplified over time. Question 3 is matching information. Find the paragraph that discusses the mechanism of data ingestion. Question 4 is matching information. Find the paragraph covering proposed solutions. Question 5 is a one-word short answer. What type of bias is mirrored? And question 6, another one-word short answer. What must be diverse? I want you to drop your answers, 1 through 6, right down in the comments or text box below. Commit to your answers publicly. I promise I'm going to go through and reveal the correct explanations in the replies. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Just as we learned today that machines amplify minor prejudices, are you letting the cognitive bias of test anxiety distort the reality of your own IELTS potential? Think about it. You have the strategies now. You know exactly what traps to look out for. Trust the structured process, rely strictly on the text in front of you, and I promise that Band 9 is well within your reach. Keep practicing, believe in yourself, and I will see you in the comments for your homework review.